Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 1 for Section 2 of Counseling Skills for Teachers. Today, we will going to make a presentation regarding the schools problems among students. So we choose the topic about playing truant among school students. So me, Ahmad Taqiyuddin bin Jamahir, with my group members, Haki An-Nazieli, Muhammad Qayyum Akmal, and Abdul Karim will present to all of you our topic. So next slide. So this is the table of content. There is 8 content in our presentation. For the first one is background of topic. In this background of topic, we will share the definition of truancy. Then we will share also the classification, type, and lastly, the statistic. Next, the second point is contributed factors towards truancy. Third is teacher's role, or in specifically counselor role in prevailing truancy. The fourth is the effects of playing truant. The fifth is the absence of students in online classes. Six, advice for parents. The seventh is our conclusion for this presentation. And lastly, the references. Next slide. So we will move to the first point, which is background of topic. Next. So this is the definition from Nurul Wafa. She said that truancy is any intentional, unauthorized, or illegal absence from compulsory education. It is also known as hooky. So truancy, also known as hooky. Of course, it's illegal absence because they absence from school or they truancy from class without any permission and any reason. So it is named as the truancy. Then truancy is a disciplinary problem which frequently occurs among school students, and it has many contributory as well as interrelated factors. It is a growing problem in this country, and truancy always offers a start for students to engage in delinquencies activities such as hanging out, bullying, stealing, smoking, and most worryingly, getting involved in drug abuse. The effect of student truancy not only affects the student, but also continues to impact schools and communities. Of course, when they do truancy, they will start to make a bad behavior. Then they want to explore more, and they start to offer themselves to do the other bad habits like smoking, bullying, and that is the worried thing. If this problem continue without overcome from any from the teachers, from the schools, and any responsible, and therefore this impact of truancy will affect the students, also impact for the schools and also the communities. They will become a trouble to their communities. Next. So this is classification of truancy in school. There is 2 classifications, which are physical class and online class. As we know, the physical class, the truancy of physical class has been started from a long time ago, since 1900 onwards until now. So what is truancy for physical class? So students basically skip their class by wandering around school. If they come to school but they skip the class, or maybe they absent from school without any reason. So this is type of physical class, truancy for physical class. And nowadays, because the pandemic, because the era of pandemic, so the lesson has to change to online class. So um, even in online class, there is a truancy happens. So what is truancy for online class? So basically, students are not enter the online class through Google Meet or Zoom without any reason. Because in the pandemic era, they may be not going outside of the house or anything. So maybe in the class, maybe in the class period, they not enter the online class, but they do other things like playing a game, sleep, and anymore without telling their teachers why they are absent. So this is considered as truancy. And I think the online class, the truancy case for online class is higher than physical class. Next, then I will move to the types of truancy. There is two types of truancy. The first one is continuous truancy. What is continuous truancy? Continuous truancy can be defined as the absence of a pupil to school or class without permission in consecutive of time. That means they are absent from going to school with a long time of period without any reasonable any reason and permission. The second one is periodic truancy. Periodic truancy is we can say that regular school consists of pupils who do not come to school within a day and the next 2 days. So this type of school truancy offense is most often committed by students who often playing truant. So basically, students do truancy where they skip from going to school within a day or next 2 days in a week. So this is common type of truancy that happens in school. Next. Okay, now I will show you the statistic on truancy case in Malaysia. So this research has been made by Luqman Hakim and his friends in 2019, where they showed the statistic of truancy case in Malaysia between 2012 and 2017. So this is includes for all states in Malaysia. Okay, from this table, we can see that several states have shown positive progression on this issue, such as Johor, Kedah, Kelantan, Melaka, Penang, and Sarawak, where they decrease the population of students who do truancy. But still, some states like Negeri Sembilan, Penang, Sabah, and Wilayah Persekutuan Labuan show increasement in the symptoms of truancy. So this is based on physical class in 2012 and 2017. And nowadays, because of the online class in pandemic, the population of students who do truancy may be higher, maybe double or triple from this population who do truancy in the physical class. So that's all from the background of topic. Now I will pass to my friend, brother Haki.
Okay, next, we look at contributed factors to truancy. Okay, for your information, we conducted an interview with a teacher from a government secondary school located in Perak. Okay, next slide. Okay, based on the interview with Madam Khairul Bariyah, we have managed to find out 3 factors cause students to skip school either in online or physical class. Okay, firstly, lazy attitude and no interest in learning. According to Madam Khairul Bariyah, the learning process for students with this attitude is very difficult because for them, difficult subject require high focus and that make it difficult for them to concentrate and choose to skip the class. And there are also some students who skip their class according to certain subject. Example, if the mathematics class is very difficult, so they choose to skip the mathematics class. Okay. Next, student weaknesses. According to Madam Khairul Bariyah, students who are not smart will feel that going to school is just waste of time because they think that nothing will change if they study and if they go to school, it is just to avoid being scolded by their parents. Okay. The third is peer influence. Teenagers nowadays trust friends more than anyone else. They prefer to express their feelings to friends than to parents or teacher. This is what will cause them to be easily influenced by friends, and when they invite them to do interesting things and new during school hours outside the school grounds, then they will easily follow their friends. This shows that peer influence is a factor in the occurrence of truancy problem. Okay, next slide. Okay. Based on article that we have studied, there are several other uh, factors that we found. We found that there are two similarities in the article and the interview that we did with Madam Khairul Bariyah, which is student attitude and peer influence. This reinforces that this is the main factor in the occurrence of this problem. Okay. According to Noremi Mat Akhir, other truancy factors are students got burdened with school assignments, personal issues, family conflict, and teacher teaching style in the classroom. Okay, when students are burdened with the assignment and various tasks, there are definitely some tasks that cannot be completed by the due date. This makes them afraid to go to school because they might be scolded by the teacher and then they decided to skip school. Okay, next personal issue. This may happen to victim of bullying, ridicule, or we call in Malay as ejekan, falling out of love with schoolmates, and so on. To avoid being bullied, ridiculed, or embraced by someone, they will skip school in order to avoid that from happening. Okay. Next, family conflict. Problem with family members, especially parents, can distract students and upset their emotion. This emotional stress will cause them to no longer want to go to school and maybe want, and with the truancy, maybe they can show their emotion to the parents. This emotional stress will cause them to no longer want to go to school and maybe the truancy will be happen frequently. Okay. Next is teacher teaching style in the classroom. The boring way teacher teaching in the teaching style and using the old way is one of the factors of students skipping school. Teachers who do not try to attract students are said to be a factor in this problem. But the question is this is it the real cause of students skipping school, or it is just an excuse given by students to justify their action? Okay, so let's take a look at the next slide. We got the answer from Madam Khairul Bariyah. Okay, Madam Khairul Bariyah said the way the teacher teach really affect the students. For Madam Khairul Bariyah, teacher must have diversity when teaching. It is not only to attract the attention of students, but also to increase the quality of the teacher himself or themselves. A teacher needs to have a strategy that is appropriate to the subject or and situation. For example, the use of technology such as smart TV, online apps like Kahoot or Quizzes, and so on. It will help the teacher to teach the students. However, Madam Khairul Bariyah denies that the old method of teaching is not 100% boring and ineffective, but it also depends on the way the teacher takes the heart of students, even they're using traditional method. So, according to Madam Khairul Bariyah, the way of teaching, teacher teaching, um, may be the factors of the truancy. Okay, so we move to the next slide. My brother Koyum will continue the presentation. Thank you.
So I will continue with the next slide, which is teachers' role in prevailing truancy. So according to the counselor of Carol Baria, teacher's role number one is usually teacher will hand the student over to the counselor for a counseling session. Number two, teacher will identify the causes, which is counseling session, or in Malay we call it as ziarah cakna. Ziarah cakna is when the teacher or counselor visits the student's house to have a discussion with the parents. Number three, according to teacher Khairul Baria, teacher needs to talk with the local community to work together to catch any students who skip school if they see any. Next. Next is a firm action or a gentle action. Teacher Khairul Baria stressed that in the past, firm ways of giving lesson have their own good. But nowadays, this method is disallowed. Giving punishment is not allowed, and even in some cases, glaring at students is considered wrong for teachers. It is very challenging for teachers as the system nowadays is a bit limited. To be concise, teachers need to have an appropriate approach so that students can take lesson from that approach. There is a time to be gentle, and also there is a time for a teacher or counselor to be firm. And next, moving on to the teacher's role. According to Siti Hajar Johari et al., there are two teachers' role. In this, they are more focusing to counselor, because in this situation, counselor will have more more alternative or more ways to overcome these cases. Number one is school rules, procedures, and number two, program intervention, which is there are three program: individual program, group program, and also program with the community. Next, okay, moving on to the school rule procedures. Okay, what is school rule procedures? It refers to the procedures of the Ministry of Education Malaysia and also the school itself in dealing with disciplinary problems in school. This is proved by statement from study participants in the interviews that were conducted. Number one, for certain cases such as truancy, I will give a warning letter 3 times in advance. We will also make a visit to the homes of students involved in this truancy. And then I also made a visit to the homes of school students who skip school with the senior assistant teacher of student affairs and the school's foster police. So this both answer was by the counselor. We can see that both use the quite similar procedure, which is they will give a warning letter, and then they will make a visit to the home of students who involved in this truancy. Next, program intervention. Program intervention refers to the action of the school counseling body on the problem of truancy. Among the intervention performed by the school, counselors are individual counseling, group counseling, and community-based programs in addressing truancy among high school students. So, this is the finding of the interview session with the study participant. Number one, the counselor said that we also held individual as well as group counseling session for these truancy students in line with the warning letters provided. And then basically I practice individual or group session depending on the situation of the perpetrator. Number three, I prefer to do group counseling rather than individual counseling with trouble students. And last, gather them in group, and there we have intervention and session together. Our hope when holding this group counseling, these trouble students will feel that there are people who care about them and succeed in changing their attitude from the school to better. So from this finding, we can see that there are counselors who use both, which is individual and counseling session, and there are also counselor who practice individual and group session depend on the situation, and there are also counselor who prefer to do group counseling rather than individual counseling because they hope that student might feel there are someone who care about them and someone who can really hear about their problems. Okay, next. Lastly, program with the community. What is program with the community? This program is a counselor program with parents and the school community in dealing with the problem of truancy. So this program deal with parent and also the school. These are the findings from the interview result. We also consult with the parents of the student or during the day to meet the client. We will have a session with the parents about the importance of going to school. So from this program, counselor will consult with the parent and also they will have a session with the parent about the importance of going to school. I think that's all from me. I will pass for the next presenter.
Okay, right now we will continue on the effect of playing through one. Next slide. First one, the effect of playing through one. From the interview, Counselor Khairobari did mention that the student will miss their lessons which they should having at the school. And then the second one, they will have their own activities or schedule which are different from other students at their age in school. For instance, some of them are working. This is usually happen for poor students which they are working to buy something, to get money to buy something that they want. For example, to buy handphone or gadget. That are their main target when they are working. And some of them are busy with motorcycle and others. And then the one is they will be involved in social problems. Usually, these students interact with all the people who do not have jobs or someone who quit school. This is quite worrying because this kind of people may bring them to do harm or will invite them to do some criminal like taking drugs or maybe smoking and others. Next. Okay. This effect will be continued by Brother Haki.
Okay, next we move to the effect we got from Portal My Help. Among the effect of truancy activity are first, miss educational opportunities. Okay, when they skip school, it will definitely cause them to left behind, especially in learning and fail in exam. When this happen, they will find it difficult to get a place in higher education institution because they do not have qualifications. Among others, the act of skipping school will also likely cause students to be expelled from school, and the bad record will make it difficult for them to find a new school. So it is clear that skipping school will cause them to miss out on the opportunity to have the best education. Next, truancy will also expose students to social risk. Social problems such as gangsterism, smoking, drugs, and other vices can affect the students. When this happens, it will not only affect the student themselves, but in the long term, it will cause society to crumble in the future because we know that these teenagers will be the leaders in the future. When they get used to this social problem, it will lead them be a criminal in the future, and we don't have any qualified leaders anymore. So beside being effect on the students themselves, it will also make the effect to the society in the future.
Okay, next I will move to the fifth point, which is the absence of students in online classes. Next, as we know, nowadays we change from the physical class to the online classes due to the pandemic. Of course, because they are not allowed to do the social gathering and any others. So that for the alternative, they will have lessons by using online learning. So this is the news from Free Malaysia Today. The writer is Nora Mahpar, and the reason why students are usually absent for online classes because based on education expert, unstable internet connection is the major factor that causing a drop in students' attendance in online classes and online lessons. So this this reason is usually the same with the cases in universities and others because, of course, when internet connection got unstable, so students may not attend the classroom because of they cannot enter the meeting with clearly. Okay, aside from unstable internet connection, many teachers also admit that some students become fatigued, causing a decline in their attendance. Next, other than that, they are getting more bored and no longer have the motivation to attend online lessons conducted by their teachers. So, as we know, when they do online classes, while they are just learning at home without friends at their beside, and the teachers just explain in the phone or the devices, so they become getting more bored because they learn in home. Therefore, some of them might lose the motivation and they choose to absent from the online classes. And lastly, limited availability of devices making online learning a hassle for the students, especially the one who need to share devices with other siblings. So we know that because the online classes, they need to use the devices to enter the online meeting, like Google Meet or Zoom meeting. However, in some cases, people who have many siblings and their parents who cannot afford to buy many devices, they need to share their devices with other siblings in order to enter the classroom online class. Therefore, when they give the devices for their other siblings, they cannot enter to the online classes. So because of the limited availability of devices, making online learning hassle for them. So that's all from the news. The reason why they cannot enter or why they absent for online learning or online lessons. Next, I will pass to Brother Karim.
For the next part, we did a discussion with our interviewee, Khairul Bariyah, about the online class. The first word that comes out from her mouth is, it is hard. Why? Because this is actually from her experience itself. And the online class at that time is actually very new for all teachers. And she did mention that it is always the same student who was absent from class. As you all know, there are some cases there are students are having trouble with devices and the internet connection. And maybe some of them are not interested on how the learning session are going on because it's actually new for all, for students and for the teachers. So the first point that she did mention is about the absentee in the online class. It is depend on the student's own discipline, and this is actually very hard for students because many of them are losing motivation because of the online class. Because online class is not the same like we are having face-to-face class, which the student can see with their friends and ask questions to the teachers directly. So it is very different from the online class. And then The next point is the teacher will give the student's name and phone number to the counselor if the student are absent in the online class. Why the teacher are giving to the counselor? Because after giving it, they are hoping that the counselor will reach the student to call her or him to ask why they are not coming to the class and to know the reason why he is being absent. And then in case if he or she did not answer the call, they went to the student's home. This is of course to see they directly with their parents and with the student itself to know the reason why they are being absent in the online class. And the last one, she did mention that many teachers uh, need a lot of patience, and even the counselor is need to calm them down and motivate them because it is very very hard for the students with this new kind of online class way in teaching. So the next part, the advice for parents. From the interview, our counselor Khairul Bariyah, it mentioned that anything concerning the student is about the parents. Parents need to care about their children's studies. This is the advice for the parents, because if the parents do not care about the children about the studies, how can they know that the children are actually uh, absent or not in the school? They are participating in the school or not? So it is actually very important for the parents to know what they are studying, what the assignment that they get, what they learn in the school. And then for the next point, they need to be closer to their child. For example, they should know about the handphone usage, because in this era, every student actually should have their own handphone, their gadget. They should know what they are searching for, what they are looking from the handphone. This is very concerning. This should be a big concern for the parents, because we all know that the internet have so many infos, and something which is quite benefits and something is quite very dangerous for the students to check, to look at. For example, pornography, and what that will affect them to do violence, like bully, which it is will promoting the students, the children, to follow what they are looking from the phone. And then the third one is parents need to be friends with them, because students, the children actually are very close with friends, and they only hear something that's coming from the friends. So what if the parents who are very rarely have discussion, talk to the children? Of course it will be a trouble for the children to tell them stories, because they are not feeling comfortable to share what they are having at school. And then we continue with the advice from the My Health. Nurul Wafa did mention that firstly, parents need to be calm. If they know, if they get the information that their children are playing truant at school, first they need to be calm, because actually it is normal to be angry, but they need to know that it is important that accusing the school or point a finger at their own children is not good. So from that point, firstly, they should be calm, because it is very, very important to make their child be open with their child, so that they feel comfortable when they are having a talking or discussion about the problem. And then the next one is get the guidelines or informations from the school. The class teacher or counselor may be able to give more information regarding to the schools, the students' behavior in school. So, and then the third point, talk to your child. This is, of course, They need to have a slow talk, which is focused on the heart to the heart from the parents and their child. They need to encourage an open and honest communication with their children. They need to assure them that they are there to help them and understand why the child needs to miss school and what are the problems that are being faced at the school. Maybe the children's actually being bullied or something. They are having problems with the learning. So this is actually a big responsible for the parents to their child. And then the fourth point is discuss with them regarding school's problems and suggest solutions. This is important because if your child has problems with teachers and schoolmates, they are the only place for the children to talk about it. And then the last one is monitoring. The parents can cooperate with the counselors and disciplinary teachers to ensure that their child or children attend to school daily, and they need to be notified if they are playing through again.
So, as a conclusion, firstly, the issue of breaking school rules always occurs, especially among teenagers. Still, it needs to be addressed as it can affect the country and future generation. If the problem of truancy is not taken seriously, this will lead to the emergence of various social problems outside the school, and it will affect students in terms of their academics, personality, and also their psychology. Next, special intervention programs need to be implemented involving the coordination of parents or guardians, the cooperation of the Parents and Teachers Association, which is PIBG, the enhancement of student behavior, the type of punishment, and how to reprimand students. Next, counseling session and motivational camps as well. The zero absenteeism program should be held as a way to address the problem of truancy. Parents also play a role in influencing the attitude of children, especially students in doing every act. Parents also should show a good attitude to be an example to their children from an early age. And last but not least, electronic mass media such as television can display the effects of truancy symptoms among school students so that it can be a lesson to them. I think that's all from us. Hope you enjoy and understand our presentation. And this is our reference. That's all from us. Thank you.